So first, you mentioned Charles Darwin's theory of biological evolution through natural selection and adaptation, um, and explained how physical anthropologists are trying to find the missing link, or the bones which will represent the species which bridges the gap between human beings and apes. And I think that was a pursuit that was given a lot of attention um, earlier in the 20th century, maybe when we were first discovering all of these other species that are closer to apes, and early hominids like Neanderthal and Homo erectus, and they are very humanoid and a member of the same genus. Um, but still, there is no missing link, and I think we're not going to find one because really, evolution isn't about this continuous path of um, organisms developing. It's really more like a web, and certain species may diverge here and come back together here, and then one species will break into two species, and the other one will continue, and then it grows very chaotically. There's always an order to the chaos, but it's not as though that neat little image that is almost an icon in our culture, or at least the scientific atheistic culture, is the picture of the ape walking all hunched over and hairy, and slowly in about 5 frames learning to stand upright, losing his hair, growing a larger skull, and larger genitalia too at the same time. It's weird, that correlation. Um, losing the hair, becoming muscular, and the posture is upright, and finally a man is walking in the last frame. It didn't exactly happen that way, and I don't think it's important to try to prove that the theory of biological evolution is somehow wrong, to talk about consciousness and to treat consciousness as something existing, worthy of our attention, not our belief. A lot of people think you have to believe in consciousness, but belief is a function of consciousness. You have to be conscious first, and then you can believe. You have to be conscious to doubt. So generally, in response to your video, we don't have to say that biological evolution is incorrect. Biological evolution is biological evolution. It talks about how matter can make the leap to metabolism, and it describes how metabolism, which is organisms which form a boundary around themselves and therefore take on this virtual selfhood, and then evolve through time, breaking up into species through genetic mutation along the way, which to some extent are influenced by the environment, other organisms, and the material world. But see, Darwin's theory misses the fact that the organisms, as they are contained within a membrane, or in the case of highly evolved organisms, a brain, which is just a sort of development of the original cell membrane when you have a single cellular organism. The brain is a further development of that membrane, which allows the organism to interact with the environment. But that virtual self, which is created by the membrane or the brain, allows the organism to evolve according to its own inner laws. And certainly those inner laws are restricted by the outer characteristics of the environment. But the environment is not selecting the organism. The organism is as much involved in the selection process as the environment. So you can never, so often evolutionary biologists who are Darwinian biologists will label the environment as the cause of evolution. But you can't label the exterior, or the interior for that matter, as the cause. Now, when we talk about the evolution of consciousness, we don't at all need to restrict ourselves to Darwin's theory of biological evolution. Darwin's theory of biological evolution can be true for everything it observes and states about that observation, because the observation, the phenomena under discussion, are species, organisms, life. What's not under discussion is cosmology, for instance, which is the whole picture of matter, life, mind, and spirit in some cases, or a transcendent field of experience that can't be reduced to any of the prior stages of cosmic development. So Darwin's theory holds true for biology, for life. What do we say about matter? And there's various theories to explain where the material universe came from in the first place. There's the Big Bang. There's the steady state theories. There's all kinds of ideas. I think right now the generally accepted one is that the universe was created by some random quantum fluctuation in a not in a space-time environment, but in an interdimensional environment of some kind, which created this um, dimension of space and time within it. It's very difficult to even. It's all mathematical, and to use English to translate the mathematical formulas into some sensible description is impossible. So what are we doing at that point when our descriptions of what the universe is become so abstract that the average person can't even understand them? What is physics telling us about the universe at that point? That what most quantum physicists have come to realize, the nature of the material universe is such that we cannot perceive it without our symbols, without our language, whether it be English or, usually in the case of physics, mathematics. Without numerals, without the digit, there is no way to measure the world. And without a measurement, what do we have? And so it's very easy to become somewhat transcendental when you are a physicist who is aware of this, that the fact that at the smallest scope, the universe is impossible to trap. It's impossible to find a structure which exists independent of our measuring devices. So that's matter. And then, so we haven't explained matter. We've explained measurement, which is all we can ever make of matter. Darwin has covered life. Mind is difficult to talk about because it requires a certain level of development. And I think a lot of human beings are mostly conscious in their bodies. And by that I just mean they're still controlled by unconscious emotional desires. And I think a lot of theists who believe in God as an idea are really addicted to a certain emotional state of security, whereas an atheist will have come to see doubt as something which they simply cannot avoid. Doubt in authority of all types, whether it's other people's authority or their ideas of some supernatural being's authority. An atheist simply cannot take someone's word for the truth. An atheist may read lots of words, lots of books, and come to some general conclusions that are not final but open to further speculation and re-advising. But the theist will take one book as their truth, and it's a lot more difficult to gather any sense of truthiness from one book as from many perspectives. And I think what we see in the evolution of consciousness is the shift, like from the Middle Ages, when most people were theistic and did believe in God, into the modern time when there are intellectuals who are publicly voicing their disbelief in God. It shows that human beings are evolving on a cultural level, on a conscious level, not just on a physical level anymore. That's mind. That's the evolution of mind. And I think what's left now for the atheists to do is to recapture spirit in some way that is not dogmatic.